Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today we're taking a look at the top 16 deck lists for the latest online event hosted by the Lorcana Play Network and Tia Beastie. This was the Alice Easter 2K special. At time of recording, the finals is still going on right now. It is Brennan DeCandio piloting Steel Amber Lantern songs against Artabax, who is playing some EA tempo, and he wants to just win the game. They're on game one at the moment. The top 16 deck lists have been available for about 8 hours, maybe more, but quite often I just report on them straight away without knowing any of the placements. But for today, I wanted to have a better idea of where everyone placed before reporting. As I said, they're down to the finals at the moment, so I've got a good idea of pretty much every player's final placements. There were 297 players in this tournament, which I do believe is a new record. I need to double check my facts, but I'm pretty sure that's a new record. And one of the most interesting things about this particular tournament is they took into account Ravensburg's 2-game format system that they're going to be implementing for the DLCs, the Disney Lorcana challenges. So this was a really great way to have a big tournament and let people experience what 2-game format is like and report back, get data on how it feels. So yeah, certainly an interesting one, but let's jump in and take a look at the lists. And never forget that this channel is sponsored by Cardmarket, so check out Cardmarket for all your trading card game needs. So as I said, the finals is still happening as we speak, but they have just gone on to game 2. Brennan DeCandio has won game 1 so far. So we'll start with that list, which is our lone Steel Amber Songs list. And interestingly, running 65 cards. Now, Brennan is a tried and tested, fantastic player, multiple tops and wins at big Lorcana events so far. It's far from the first time we're seeing them in a final for a Lorcana Play Network tournament. And once again, all the way to first or second place. But yeah, 65 cards, which is certainly interesting. It can't be optimal, right? I mean, I totally respect the man as a player, and he clearly knows what he's doing as a deck builder as well. But I just feel like it just can't be optimal. But again, if you're going to do it in any deck, it should be a steel deck where you're running a whole new world. So to start at the beginning, we've got 4 copies of Ballroom Sensation Cinderella to be a shift target for one of 3 copies of Stout-Hearted Cinderella. And of course, you can sing our songs nice and cheap. Let the Storm Rage On, Strength for a Raging Fire, and Bare Necessities. Going on with the songs, we've also got 3 copies of Along Came Zeus. I really like this at a high count. I think it's such an important piece. You want to see it often. I was watching a stream of Brennan's top 16 game against Skylar, who ran Sapphire Steel and made top of Swiss. And just, I remember in that game 3, there were 3 turns in a row where Sky was like, I'm good if they don't have Zeus, and they just had them all. So yeah, such an important piece. Obviously the whole new world for the refresh, the Grab Your Swords for the spread damage. And yeah, 4 copies of Lantern to reduce our character costs, which I'm a big fan of Lantern. I've been playing it in Amber Ruby Mufasa, but if I'd have played in this tournament, which I couldn't, unfortunately. I really wanted to, but couldn't make it. But I just think there's so much item hate at the moment. Bengers, Rise of the Titans, things like that. But certainly got away with it, and it does allow for some pretty cool plays for I suppose, most notably, really. I mean, you can get turn 4 Beast, Tragic Hero, which is worth noting. But turn 4 Cinderella Stout-Hearted seems really good. Especially, there were a lot of locations. The Ruby Amethyst decks that topped. A lot of them were running high counts of locations, a lot of them back on gym. So yeah, locations were very important this tournament, and just one of Steel Amber's only ways of reliably doing it in the early game. The other option is, of course, we've got a 4/4 Queen line who can manipulate the strength of on-board characters. So that's going to be good for hitting locations and just for characters in general, and it's another cheap singer that we can sing from turn 2 if we want to Grab Your Swords or a whole new world that early. We're running a 4/4 Robin Hood line, another early singer for us, and just fantastic abilities, gaining 2 lore when he beats something in a challenge, and if he's banished in a challenge, drawing a card. And this stat line is quite nice. Obviously, he hates to see Madame Medusa, but he's fine around Along Came Zeus. Only 3 copies of Tinkerbell, just as strong as ever. 3 copies of Surfer Stitch to be some additional draw. The art of this deck is you can go with the wheel and just the full refresh, but you can also opt to just go for the Surfer Stitch line. You can go for a Beast line. We're also running 2 copies of Rapunzel, so that's an option to be our card draw. 3 Bender, as I alluded to before. before. Item hate, it's needed. Lots of spell books, lots of lanterns. I don't think no sleepies, though this is the only Steel Amber deck that made top cut. I don't know how much Flute Song there was in Swiss, but also Fishbone Quills, lots of important items out there. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. A pretty tried and tested Steel Amber Songs list. The lanterns, I think, less common, but I don't hate it. Just 65 cards, it just seems a lot, right? But total respect to Brennan, they know what they're doing, a fantastic pilot, and either a first or second place trophy for them to add to their resume, so congratulations. Going on to either first or second place, we have Artabax, someone else who is no stranger to Lorcana success. We've seen this name come up a couple of times in Top Cut list and leading EA Tempo all to a finals in another big old field, taking advantage of Ursula Deceiver of All, trying to get so much value off of her Singing Friends on the other side for a draw 4 or a double bounce with Mother Knows Best. And then other than that, we're just basically an aggro deck with elements of control. We've got 3 copies of Chernobog's Followers, which can be a nice check or can help us filter through and find cards that we need. Obviously also 1-drops are good in general just to get our snakes and our foxes online. 3 copies of Rafiki to be a nice early drop. I think these 1/3s, 1-drops like Rafiki's and Hook, so important in a tournament like this where it's 2-game format, because you need to have a chance on the draw. So finding your 1-drops is going to be really important, although you might choose to value even on the draw the Cursed Merfolk, who we're running 4 copies of, and 4 copies of Flynn Rider, both of them quest for 2 and force a discard from the opponent when challenged. Obviously our bounce stuff, we're also seeing 3 copies of Maleficent, 3 copies of Merlin Crab to boost these characters up to hit even bigger numbers, help to deal with locations as well. 4 Rabbit, 4 Goat for the lore and the draw. We've got Kit Cloud Kicker to be a nice early tempo piece, but really good in the mirror, good against other aggro decks, so Kit still finding a lot of value in set 3, chapter 3 format. We've got 2 copies of Yzma, who I'm a big fan of. Just say goodbye to a target. This deck doesn't have a lot of removal, really. I mean, there's Mother Knows Best back to their hand, but that's normally just coming straight down. That's quite often that's good enough. But being able to just say goodbye to something, or at least back into the deck, so we hope they don't draw back into it. But more often than not, we want to bounce our own characters to get an additional draw. Works really well with the Rabbit for a 3-card draw in total, or for the Goat just for gaining lore. And again, Yzma, one of our bigger bodies in this deck. Definitely important for, if you don't have Crab, then you need a bigger body like this for locations especially. So and another one of our aggressive questers. Words are really, really hard. And 3 copies of the Queen's Castle, who was all the rage this tournament with all the Amethyst players. Even went as far as I was watching Zephyr stream. He didn't make top 6. I think he came 17th. Which was gutting to see, felt for him, but he said he was happy with his run. I was watching a lot of his stream. He was on Sapphire Steel, and he was saying, if I'm against Ruby Amethyst and I'm not running castles, I consider it free. So people like going off of castles, and me kind of as well. I've still been on a 2 count, but yeah, maybe this was premature. Maybe just, yeah, people have answers to it in the form of like Maui's, but even a lot of the Ruby Amethyst decks have either cut the fish hook or gone down to 1. Yeah, I mean, like, if they don't have the answer to the Queen's Castle, it's still one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion. So yeah, fantastic. Oh, and of course, the Ursula Deceiver, one of the key pieces to say goodbye to those songs that we don't want to see, those Be Prepared, Grab Your Swords, things like that. So yeah, a fantastic list, a fantastic run from Artabax. So I watched some of their stream as well. Really nice guy, really great player. So huge congratulations to him. Next up in top 16, our other EA Tempo deck, we've got Tyler. Very similar looking list, but a couple of differences and a particular bit of spice. We've got 2 Chernobog, 3 Rafiki, the 4/4 of the discarders, the Merfolk and the Flynn Rider. I need a name for these 2 just to group them. The Snake, the Fox, 3 Crab once again. We're seeing the 4 Goat, the 4 Rabbit, the 4 Yzma. Only 3 copies of Mother Knows Best, but instead opting for 2 copies of Strike a Good Match to draw 2 cards and discard a card, another good target for your Ursula Deceiver of All. The 3 kit is the same here, but yeah, one of the biggest differences, we're seeing 3 copies of Wildcat Mechanic, 3 cost inkable, 2/3 quest for 1, evasive, and disassemble, exert to banish chosen item. We know that items are really good in format, so I'm sure this put in a lot of work, led them all the way to top 16. So yeah, love this bit of spice, but by and large, pretty similar list to Artabax's, and huge congratulations to Tyler. Going into top 4, we've got Brindlebore with the first of our Emerald Steel discard, which was quite popular. Well, at least 3 made it through to top 16, and I think just a really good meta call. Especially in best of two, like the odds that you're going to catch them off guard with the discard, even on the game where you're on the draw, I think is good. I think Emerald Steel Discard was a really nice meta call for 2-game format. And yeah, as I said, 3 transitioned into top 16. And the one that did the best, top 4 here, we've got the 4 Cursed Merfolk, the 4 Flynn, we've got 4 of the Captain Hook, similar purpose to the Rafiki, just to be an early check. The 4 Ursa, Deceiver of All, running 4 copies of Mr. Smee, one of the best statted cards in the game. 2 cost Inkable, 3 quests for 2. Takes a damage at the end of the turn if there's no Captain, but we have a Captain, so we can subvert that. And even if we don't have the Captain on board, we don't really care. This is just a fantastic card. We've got 4 copies of Prince John, who's hopefully going to draw us lots of cards when we are discarding from our opponent, which can come courtesy of Flynn Rider and Cursed Merfolk, but other cards that we'll get to. The 3 Deceiver of All, who in this particular deck is going to take advantage of Strength for a Raging Fire, and which is going to hit some nice big numbers, and let the Storm Rage on, which is going to hit 4 or 2 on 2 different things, and draw you 2 cards. And just the draw 2 is kind of mad. Also, the 2 Mother Knows Best here. We're also seeing 4 copies of Sudden Chill, pairing nicely with the Prince John. And again, Ursa singing Sudden Chill is just a discard 2, which is just kind of mad. It could just end the game right there and then sometimes. 4 Benja to respect the items. We're also running 4 copies of Daisy Duck, Secret Agent, 4 cost Ingable, 2/3, quest for 2, and Thwart. Whenever this character quests, each opponent chooses and discards a card. This is the most surprising card to see, 100%. Like, there's been a few discard builds over this and prior format, season 2 more so than 1, since the introduction of Bucky, really. But yeah, there's been lots of discard decks, and you don't see Daisy come up a lot. She's generally thought of as just too slow for a 4-cost character, and especially because a lot of discard decks were running Bucky, and turn 4 was your Floodborn drop. But not opting for the Bucky here, and again, none of these Emerald Steel decks are. They're just literally utilising Prince John, the Merfolk, the Flynn Rider, and then a few of the discard options. This deck not running Hypnotize, some of the others are, but yeah, Daisy Duck putting in some work. And we're also seeing 4 copies of Friar Tuck, Priest of Nottingham, 4 cost Inkable, 2/4, quest for 2. When you play this character, the player or players with the most cards in their hand chooses and discards a card. Worth noting, you can make yourself discard off of the if you're newer to Lorcana. Be careful trialing out this card. If you are the player with more cards in your hand, you have to discard something, so bear that in mind. But yeah, like, it should be quite easy to manipulate our hand so that we play Friar Tuck down so that we've got less cards in our hand. That should be quite easy to accomplish. And then just getting a discard. It's a nice curve after playing Prince John on 3. It's an aggressive quester, and this 4 willpower is nice. It's going to survive a lot of the basic things that hit for that 3 magic number. So yeah, like, Friar Tuck isn't as surprising to me. It's a bit of a surprise. I definitely didn't call this being good when I first reviewed Friar Tuck. But it makes more sense to me than the Daisy. Well, it's less surprising than the Daisy. But yeah, love to see it. 4 copies of Beast Tragic Hero. Some Steel players opting to cut this, but this deck doesn't really, like, we're not playing a whole new world. We don't have, or we're not Amber, so we don't have access to things like Rapunzel or Silver Stitch. So we need to take advantage of what draw options we can. And of course, whole new world would go against our strategy because we want to discard their hand. So we're just going to put this down and hope it sticks. And yeah, the song package and 2 Along Came Zeus for some more control of the board. So yeah, like I said, I think discard was a really nice meta call. And yeah, like, none of these versions that we're about to look at using Bucky, all just utilising Prince John, the Merfolk, the Flynn, most of them using the Sudden Chill, and then yeah, in this deck in particular, utilising Daisy Duck, which I like to see cards that you don't always see, so big congratulations to Brindlebore. Next up in top 8 with some Emerald Steel discard, we've got Specky, fellow content creator. Great to see them have a really good run, and with a novel deck again, but again, I think just a really nice meta call. So huge congratulations to Specky for making top 8, and yeah, the list looks very similar, although we are opting to play 3 copies of Robin Hood Daydreamer, 6 cost Ingable, 4/5, quests for 4. If you can get this online, then yeah, that's pressure right there to just close out the gap to game, or it's a nice comeback mechanic card. So yeah, I don't hate the Robin Hood by any stretch. For Tinkerbell, we're also running 2 copies of Baboom. No Fire the Cannons in here, but still an important card to, like, especially in the mirror against those fellow Cursed Merfolks, or Robin Hood from Steel Amber Songs player, Rafikis to keep them off your back if you want to be able to quest safely. So yeah, Baboom, I like the inclusion. 2 copies of Hypnotize being our preferred discard. We're not playing Daisy Duck. We are running 3 copies of Friar Tuck, but yeah, opting for the Hypnotize, which also comes with a card draw, and hey, if you're playing it with Prince John, then that's even more card draw. And then your typical song package. No Mother Knows Best here, but I think that's about right. And yeah, the Captain Hooks and the Mr. Smees, I think really good to be able to come back from on the draw, and just discard in general. If you can catch them off guard game 1, then that's gonna help you in your Swiss run for a 2-game format. So yeah, you love to see it. Huge congratulations to Specky. And our final Emerald Steel discard in top 8, we've got Jacob, who's gone a slightly different way. We are running the 4/4 Robin Hood line in this particular version, which is really strong. I get why the other 2 decks didn't run it, but I think if I was going to run Emerald Steel discard, I would struggle to pass this up. It just seems really, really strong. So yeah, opting for the Robin Hood. We've got the traditional Flynn, Merfolk, the Ursula, 3 copies of Mr. Smee. No Captain Hook here, but that makes sense if you're going for the 4/4 Robin Hood. Just 3 copies of Prince John, the 4 Ursa Deceiver of All, the traditional 3 Benja for the item hate, and then we're seeing a 2/2/4 Tinkerbell line. We're seeing 2 copies of the Steel 3 cost, who has a 2/4 stat line and battle plans, exert, draw a card, and then choose and discard a card, and 2 copies of the Emerald Evasive Tinkerbell, 4 cost, Inkable, 2/3 quest for 2, and of course the 4 Big Tink. So 2 options to shift onto. One of them going to get you to the shift Big Tink by turn 4, and the other one just going to be more of an aggressive quester, so you'll love to see it. 1 copy of Flynn Rider, his own biggest fan. We can shift onto the Charming Rogue, and if we've managed to completely discard their hand, then again, this is a great questing character. We're also seeing just 1 copy of the Robin Hood Daydreamer to also serve that purpose of closing the gap, or a nice comeback mechanic card. We're running 1 copy of the Dirty Cunning Cat Lucifer. I call him Dirty. I just think Lucifer and You Have Forgotten Me. Whenever I see those, it's dirty. 5 cost uninkable, 2/2 quest for 2. When you play this character, each opponent discards either discards 2 cards or 1 action. So another card that can just catch players completely off guard and just take that whole new world, that grab your swords, that be prepared, whatever it, that rabbit plus snake, whatever it is that was going to get them back into the game if they lost board control, is now gone. So I'm a big fan of Lucifer. And we're also seeing 2 copies of Tiana, Celebrating Princess, 4 cost uninkable, 1/4 quest for 2. Resist 2 is nice and annoying, and what you give is what you get. When this character is exerted and you have no cards in your hand, your opponent can't play action. So not all on this. You traditionally see this with bodyguarders, but no, just an option. If we've played out our hand and we've got a nice wide board, we can then put this down and get her exerted, so that we know that even if our opponent does draw into a whole new world, be prepared, grab your swords, then they ain't playing it, Junior. So yeah, I think Emerald Steel discard, such a great meta call for this 2-game format tournament. Huge congratulations to Jacob. Going back to top 4, the first of our Ruby Amethyst lists, we've got Devin, and now we've got 6 Ruby Amethyst lists that made top 16. 4 of them got knocked out in their top 16 match. 1 made it through to top 8, and then Devin that we're looking at here made it through to top 4. So yes, in combination with the most transitions into top 16, but once again, it's a bit of a pattern. They perform well, they take up most of the top spots, but they aren't commonly making it all the way to the finals and taking the trophy. And the same is true here, but still Ruby Amethyst is powerful as ever. But a few of these lists going a slightly different way. We'll home in straight away on just 1 copy of Jim Hawkins here, Space Traveler, 5 cost inkable, 4/4 quest for 2. When you play him, you can rush in a location of 4 cost or less, and when a location is played, you can move Jim straight there. And the 4 count of Queen's Castle. Not playing any fancy stuff, no Agrabahs, no RLS Legacy, although we'll get to them. But yeah, just the 1 count of Jim. If you can rush this, it makes Ruby Amethyst a bit more proactive as opposed to reactive, which is what Ruby Amethyst tends to be at the moment. And generally it runs a lot of low lore questers. So maybe something to think about, going back to considering Gym or testing out Gym, and a lot of the other builds are running even higher counts of them. But let's look through everything. We're running 4, 4, 2, so total of 10 1-drops, which I don't hate at all. Just let me play the game, and 4 copies of Kuzco, so even if we do miss a 1-drop, we're still getting a character down before turn 3. Just let me play the game. And yeah, I like this call. A lot of players moving over to 4 Rafiki's, 4 Chernobog, which I get, but I feel you're just so punished by either Steel Amber or Emerald Steel. I'm not ready to give up the 1-3s. And Devin feeling the same, 6 1-3s, but still opting for the 4 Rafiki, which I absolutely rate. It's still a fantastic card, nice early check. The 4 Kuzco, as I mentioned, nice as he replaces himself, so we can pressure the board without being as punished for it. We've got the 4 Snake, the 4 Fox, a nice high count of Crab here to make these, again, when we've got this many 1-drops, these all, like, Rafiki becomes challenges for 6, and then your 1-3s become challenging for 4. So, yeah, like, I played 3 Crab in my most recent tournament, and in that run I was like, maybe this is too many, and I was considering going back down to 2, but I'm seeing a lot of success with players that are running 3 or 4, so yeah, maybe I'll lean back towards that. So high count of those. We're also seeing 4 copies of Stylish Surfer Mini, which is quite a common thing in these Ruby Amethyst decks. A lot of players cutting the fishhook, or at least dropping the fishhook to 1, and the fact that less players are playing Mini means that they don't have the Mini plus Crab to deal with your Mini. So yeah, we all gas here. This is just mid-range as heck. You see we're running no Maleficents, none of the high cost fancy stuff, running 3-3 line of the ladies in red for that control, the 4 Maui, the traditional bouncing things, 4 friends, only 3 copies of Be Prepared, and the castle as I mentioned. So yeah, just Ruby Amethyst control is just mid-range at this point, and just all the gas, all the cards that say have an answer for me or I'm generating so much value straight away. I play the Mini, have an evasive. I play the castle, have Maui plus hook or plus something, or Crab plus something plus something. So yeah, this deck demanding answers. The one Jim Hawkins to be more proactive. I like it, and led him to top 4. So congratulations to Devin. Next up, our Ruby Amethyst list that made it through to top 8. We've got Massimiliano, which is another name that I recognise. I believe they've made tops in the GOATs tournaments. Maybe I may be mistaking. I feel like I've said this name before, but yeah, top 8 with some Ruby Amethyst. Here we are seeing that example, as I said, the 4 Chernobog, the 3 Rafiki. Hey, if you don't pair into Steel, then this is often better, because like Rafiki again being a nice check, hitting for 3, and the Chernobog's followers is really diverse. It can check characters, and it can just be a way to draw more cards. So I think this is perfectly fine. Just try not to hit Steel. 3 copies of Kuzco. We've got very traditional bounce Merlin and Madam Mim counts. No Crabs in here at all though, which is interesting, but we are running 2 copies of Maui's Fishhook, so that could be our alternative way of boosting up to the numbers we want to hit. We're running 4 Maleficents for the card draw, which I really like. 3 copies of Madame Medusa. No Tremaines here. We are seeing the 3 Maleficents, so hopefully looking to have a stronger late game. In place of the Tremaines though, we're seeing 2 Dragon's Fires, which anyone that knows my channel knows I'm a big fan of. I really like Dragon's Fire as a 2 count, so you'll love to see it. 3 copies of Teeth and Ambitions, good for the aggro decks. I'm not keen on Teeth and Ambitions. Again, it's another one of these cards that I always feel like I never get mad when they play it, because it always seems like a slow play. But it regularly makes top cut. It's putting in work. Again, it is giving you a little more resistance against the aggro decks. So yeah, Teeth and Ambitions, 4 friends, 4 Be Prepared. The 1 spell book, really good in the mirror. The 4 Fishhook, as I said, and once again we're seeing the 4 Queen's Castle. So huge congratulations to Massimiliano. Going into top 16, we've got Dakota here. Opting for 7 1-drops, 3 Olaf, 4 Rafiki, the 3 Kuzco. We are seeing the 2 Pinocchio here, which I love to see when you play this character, exert chosen opposing character, which I've seen a lot of arguments about in 2-game format. It's kind of not worth it when you're only playing 2 games, which I get the argument behind. Like, you just want to make your deck run the best it can and worry less about trying to counter specific things. But I still like Pinocchio so much. I think it comes in useful in so many different games, against so many different decks. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Pinocchio. We're running the 2 Crab, the 4 Maleficent. Once again, we're seeing the 4 Stylish Surfer Mini, the traditional Merlin cards, 4 copies of Lady Tremaine, no Medusas in here, no Dragon's Fire. So probably having quite a good Sapphire Steel matchup where they quite like from the top. By the time Tremaine's online, quite often they're just playing down one character. They're going Gaston or Tamatoa or something like that. So good again in those sort of situations where they don't have extra characters to put down. And 3 copies of Jim Hawkins to back up our once again 4 copies of Queen's Castle. Yeah, Jim, I need to test him again. Because that is what I've been feeling about Ruby Amethyst lately, is that it just feels a bit too... I mean, it's always been a slow deck, but I don't know, it just feels like it's not aggressive enough at the moment. But maybe that's because of the cut of minis, and maybe Jim is a way to help that, especially against Sapphire Steel players. Like a turn 5 Jim for to get Queen's Castle down straight away can be crippling potentially. So yeah, big fan. Well, I say big fan. I'm a big fan of trying Jim again. Maybe he was wrote off too soon, but yeah, huge congratulations to Dakota. Next up in top 16 on the Ruby Amethyst control, another name that is no mystery to me. We've got Rob Serp, who has had some fantastic top cut placements at all. I can't remember what their success rate was like in seasons 1 or 2. I'm assuming good, but I see this name come up all the time in top lists for set 3 especially. So huge shout out to Rob for another fantastic performance. And as I said, once again on the RA, we are running the 4 Shenanbox followers and the 4 Rafiki, hoping to miss those steel decks. 3 Kuzco, the traditional Merlin and Madam Mim things. We're seeing 4 copies of Crab, which I like, 4 Snake, and 3 Pinocchio. Yeah, Rob's saying, hey, it's not a tech. Let's play 3 copies and just see it consistently enough. So yeah, this assures me seeing Rob run 3. Also running 3 copies of Mini Stylish Surfer. You see the pattern here. A lot of these players going back to high counts of minis and Queen's Castles. Only 2 in Rob's list here, which I think is what he was playing in the last hot cut list of his I reviewed. No Jim Hawkins for Rob. We're seeing once again 4 Lady Tremaines, no Medusas, another pattern emerging, 1 copy of Spellbook. So yeah, another pretty cookie cutter looking RA control list, and another fantastic run from Rob. So congratulations to them. Next up in top 16, we've got Marvin with some RA control, running 61 cards here, running 3 Olaf, 4 Rafiki, 3 Kuzco, 2 Crabs, 3 Maleficents, 3 Minis, 4 Snake, 4 Fox, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbits, the 4 Mao. We're seeing 1 Yzma here, who hasn't been coming up as much in the RA decks. A 2-2 split of the ladies in red. Once again, we're seeing the Monstrous Dragon, the 2 Teeth and Ambitions, 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared, 1 Spellbook, 2 Maui's Fishhook here. Like I said, fallen off a lot of these Ruby Amethyst lists, but still putting in work for a couple of players, and 3 copies of the Queen's Castle. So again, pretty traditional. Congratulations to Marvin. And our final Ruby Amethyst list, my favourite of the lot, in top 16. Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP. I reached top 16 and then I had to stop. Damn, I'm sorry, King Louis. But huge congratulations on a top 16 finish and bringing the location spice. Once again with the 4 Chernabog and Rafiki, so no 1-3s. The 4 Snake, the 4 Fox, the 4 Goat, the 4 Rabbit. No Crabs in here, but 4 Maleficents. No Minis in here. But we're seeing 2 copies of Hey Hey, Accidental Explorer. Considering the coconut every time. 3-2, quest for 1, and when he moves to the location, your opponent loses 1 lore. I keep saying I really like this, and I still haven't tried it. I really needs to. But yeah, a big old location package to go with 4 copies of Jim Hawkins. We've got the 4 Queen's Castle, and we're also running 2 copies of Agrabah, which I'm a big fan of. I'm just a coward. I don't have the guts to pull the trigger taking this to a main tournament. I literally did an RA control deck profile. I was like, should run Agrabah. And then I did a paper tournament 2 days later and I was like, I'm not brave enough to try this in an actual paper tournament. So you're a better man than me, King Louis. I must be more like you. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. 3 cost Ingable, 1-5, and 2 passive lore. Another character card that just says, have an answer to me or I'm going to generate so much advantage. So this seems a lot quicker. And 2 copies of the RLS Legacy. 4 cost uninkable, 3-8, 2 passive lore gain. Characters here gain evasive. And if you already have a character there, then the cost to move to this location becomes 1. So hopefully we're zooming this in with Jim Hawkins and then moving other characters there just for 1. RLS Legacy fallen all the way off, and I'm glad to see King Louis. Praise the king! Praise you, King Louis! We all need to be a bit more like you. And yeah, just another example of just this RA deck just being far more aggressive. Just one copy of Maui's Fishhook. No, like we're very mid-range. No Maleficents. A 3-1 split of the ladies in red, which I like. A big fan of that. Yeah, love this list. Congratulations to the king of the swingers. Going now into top 8, we have our lone Ruby Sapphire Dime Control, courtesy of Bannable Harker, another fellow content creator. Huge shout out to him. Congratulations on a fantastic run. A fantastic player, good content. Go check out Bannable Harker. But yeah, our rampant control deck. We got the 4 Be Prepared, the 4 Maleficent, a 2-2 split of the ladies in red, Maui for the board control, Queen of Hearts for the early game, because that is where this deck is lacking. Normally a very slow first few turns. So that's going to help us out against the aggro decks, the Merfolk, the Pinocchios, the Maleficent Biding Her Times, all that lovely stuff. And then looking to the Sapphire stuff, we've got 3 copies of Judy Hopps, respecting the items. Does let them draw a card when we discard the item, but sometimes you just got to do it. And not a bad body on top of it. 2-3, questing for 2, and nice and cheap. Also 4 copies of Grand Martala. This deck can struggle with card draw. Sometimes it feels like it has all the cards in the world. If you can get Flavisham down and get like 2 Artificer bumps off of him, that can sometimes feel like more than enough. And then you're finding more Flavisham later on in the game. But if we don't find them at the right time, if we need to ink them or whatever happened, then card draw is really where we suffer. So Grand Martala is going to do that, and it's a bit of a dig, looking at the top 2 cards to pick one. Also 4 Develop Your Brain, which is going to help with that. We're running 4 copies of Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse, 6 cost uninkable, 4/4 quest for 3, and when you play him, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, 1 into your hand, the other 2 to the bottom. So again, it's card draw, it's helping us find a key piece that we need, and it's one of our bigger bodies, 4/4, and one of our bigger questers to work with the lucky dime. Also 4 copies of Tamatoa, 8 cost inkable, 5/8 quest for 1. When you play him and when he quests, we can recycle an item from our discard and into our hand, and he gains 1 lore for every item on the board. So in that regard, we've got 4 Porpsicle, 1 Maui's Fishhook, 4 Fishbone Quill to accelerate our ramp, and the 2 Lucky Dimes. So all of these are going to give us advantage. Maui's Fishhook is going to help us hit bigger numbers or become evasive, and of course works with the big man himself. 4 Porpsicle for the card draw, normally our target for our turn for Flavisham if we can get away with it. Fishbone Quill going to help us ramp, and Lucky Dime obviously can be a game closer, just getting instant lore gains. And yeah, if we do have to get rid of any of these with Flavisham, or they get removed through opposing item hate, then we can recycle them with our big our shiny crab. I was looking for the words there, it completely escaped me. And yeah, the 2 Lucky Dime, choose a character, gain lore equal to their lore. So obviously we're a ramp deck, we're hoping to get nice and big in our ink pool, so the odds of being able to play Lucky Dime on 7, whatever turn it is, depending on how well you ramped. And then on a following turn, we do something like put down Gaston, and then we're immediately tilting the Lucky Dime to gain 3 lore. And then if they can't deal with the Gaston on their turn, then then on our following turn, we're questing with the Gaston, we're tilting the Dime to get an additional lore bump, we're pressuring the field even more, we're putting down more Lucky Dimes, we're playing McDuck Manor, which we're running 2 copies of for the 2 passive lore gain, and 9 willpower is such a lot to ask of the opponent. And I missed the 4/1 jump ahead for additional ramp from turn 2. So yeah, the only Dime deck that made the top cut, but it made it. It's still a fantastic deck, piloted by a really good player, so huge congratulations to Bannable. Next up in top 16, we have our first Amethyst Steel deck. No Jafar, no mid-range, no Tinkerbells, nothing like that. I've called this Beatdown because what on earth do you want me to call it? Because it's not really even aggro. We have 2 characters that quest for 2. It's Beatdown, bruh. Yeah, but I mean, why not just say I'm going to have an incredibly strong early game. I'm always going to have characters that I can play. I'm probably never going to brick. Yeah, 12 uninkables. Yeah, so I'm never going to brick. I'm like, those first few turns of the game, I am pressuring Chernobog's followers to be a check or to draw more cards. We've got a 4/3 of Hook and Rafiki. Good God, this deck should be good against locations and big bodies. We've got the 4 Snake, the 4 Fox, the 4 Goat, the 4 Rabbit. We've got 2 copies of Merlin Crab. I feel like of all decks that I'd want 3 or 4 Crab. that this is probably the one. But Max said, nah, we good. Let me cook. Yo, cook away, brother. We got 3 copies of Pinocchio, so we can be aggressive and control the board. The 4 Smee, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit, 4 Friends, 4 Strength for a Raging Fire. Note that the Storm Rage on in here, which, fair enough, you want to keep your uninkable count lower, and it's not like we're running Ursula. Well, we can't run Ursulas or Cinderellas or anything like that, so I get it. 3 Along Came Zeus, which I think is a fantastic count. 2 Sorcerer's Spellbook, that gas, and 3 Queen's Castle. Mad. Like, I just feel like I would struggle so much to not at least put Tinkerbell in here. But like nothing over a 4-drop. I don't hate it though, and led Mac to top 16. Our boy Mac the Knife, we love to see it. Congratulations to them. 2 decks left to look at. In top 16, we have Michael with some Sapphire SAmethyst, who is also running 65 cards. What is happening? But yeah, all the ramp, all the draw, like, because we've got all the purple draw, and then we've got Flavisham with 4 Portable. That's it. No, like, I mean, we got the spellbook as well, but if you're getting rid of the spellbook with Flavisham, something went really wrong. I suppose it's not awful. It's a curve. If you miss Portable, it's a curve, my guy. Not a very good one, but a curve nonetheless. But to be fair, just being able to go turn 3 Mickey, turn 4 Snake or Fox to bounce back the Mickey, and then yeah, you can go turn 3 Mickey, turn 4 you ink up to 5, so you could play Snake and then another Mickey. Does that ramp you to 7 by your next turn? Kind of mad, right? Kind of mad. We've got 4 Shadowbox Followers, 4 Rafiki, we've got the 4 Snake, 4 Fox, we've got 4 Crab in here, you love to see it, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit, 3 copies of Judy Hops, respecting the items, the Detective Mickey, as I said, the 4 Flavisham, because why not, let's have even more draw, and to be fair, the 6 body is like, it survives a lot, does get banished by Madame Medusa, but hey, like, this deck looks like it's just going to have all the cards in its hand all the time. We're also running 3 copies of Pua, 2 cost inkable, 2/2 quest for 2, and always there. When this character is banished, shuffle this card into your deck. Hey, it's one of our higher lore questers. The only other things that quest for 2 are Judy Hops. We've got 3 copies of Yzma, and then 2 else's in here, quest for 3. But yeah, consistent aggro. We're also running 4 copies of Grandma Tala for the additional ramp, and quite often she sits there and just quests because they don't want to get rid of it. They don't want to ramp you. But yeah, our biggest characters, 3 Yzma, as I said, and for even more draw and some more control over the board. And 2 Elsa. Hey, if you can get this fast, this deep into the game, and hey, with blue, it can happen from turn 6. But yeah, fantastic card. 8 cost uninkable, 4/6 quest for 3, and Deep Freeze, where we exert up to 2 chosen characters. They can't ready at the start of the next turn, so just slows them down. 2 copies of Befuddle for slowing them down in the early game. Really strong if they go if opposing Amethyst decks go turn 2 Snake, just really shuts down their tempo. 3 Friends on the other side, but look at all this draw I already have. We'll just run 3 Friends, that's fine. 4 Portals, as I said, the 1 Spellbook, and 3 McDuck Mana. So yeah, some spice. 65 cards. Someone make it make sense. I mean, we have all the draw. There you go. You've given yourself your own answer. We're gonna draw all the cards, and we're still gonna be more consistent than our opponent. That's the hope. But yeah, huge congratulations to Michael. And last but not least, in top 16, but the top of Swiss, number 1 seed from day 1, we have Skylar, who is a name that we've brought up before on the channel a couple of times, and not just by me, was brought up and spoke of in very high esteem by Zephyr when we did our interview with him. Skylar, one of Zephyr's main testing partners, and had some success himself. It's not the first time we're looking at one of their list, and they are indeed the Sapphire. They are Sapphire Steel. It is their entire Lorcana identity. I have been led to believe, and just becoming a master with it. Pretty cookie cutter here. The 4 Hook, the 4 Smee, 3 Detective Mickey in here. Some people like this to be Winnie the Pooh. I'm not one of those people, but shout out to the Winnie the Pooh believers. The 4 Flavisham for the draw, 4 Cogsworth to be nice and annoying with his ward, so it's hard to remove. Give him resist 1 to our characters, and 1 of our 5 cost singers. 4 Beast for the extra draw if we can make him stick. 3 Gaston, again, another singer, and someone that we can use with our Lucky Dime that we're running 2 copies of. 4 Tink, the 4 Develop Your Brain to help us find pieces. 1 copy of Rise of the Titans. I think Zephyr played nearly this exact same list. Maybe a couple of differences. But I'm watching his stream. He did say maybe he thought like he maybe should have played more Rise of the Titans. But just one, enough to lead Skylar to top 16. With 2 Along Came Zeus. We've got the one Let It Go. I think Cinderella Stout-Hearted is one of the main targets of this because this deck can really struggle with that card without it. The 4 Wheel, the 3 Grab Your Sword, should I say. 4 Port, 4 Fishbone, 2 Lucky Dime, and 3 McDuck Mana. Oh, and the 2 Bell, of course, who I was so hard on through Season 2, but I think Season 3 with Dime, I think she's just kind of berserk, mad, bonkers, nuts. So yeah, huge congratulations to Skylar. And hi, I know you're a fan of the channel, so sup, man. I appreciate your support, brother. Well done. Playtest with me, please. But congratulations to Skylar. And that is it for the top 16 deck lists for the 296-97, a big old event on the Lorcana Play Network. Once again, a huge thank you to Tia Beastie and everyone that works for the Lorcana Play Network team, everyone involved in bringing this tournament together. I really commend you for pulling the trigger on testing 2-game format. I think it was really important to let players try it out and get some feedback. And I'm not going to go on much longer because long video and all that. And like, I'm only here to talk about the deck lists, but concerning 2-game format, my opinion pretty much seems to mirror what most people are saying. I was in a lot of streams watching a lot of these games over this tournament, and the general consensus seems to be that 2-game format is fine, just 2 games. Like, again, there are some players that are still going to say they don't like it, and that's absolutely fine, but the majority opinion that I'm actively seeing is that 2-game format is fine to better, like, just because of, like, some people prefer it, but the common denominator in complaints is the point system. It seems like you are not punished enough for a loss, for taking a 0-2 loss. I think the general consensus is that taking a loss should make you minus a point. I don't have all the data to present to you right now. That would have to be a whole other video. I'd want to be better researched on it. But it seems at initial glance that is the main problem, that players that are losing 0-2 just aren't being punished enough for it. But yeah, I'm not going to add too much more to that conversation right now. If you played, or even if you didn't play, maybe you're a spectator and you've got an opinion on that, feel free to comment down below and let's have a discourse about it. But I'm going to end it there. Another long old video, but great to see top 16 deck lists. Once again, Ruby Amethyst, the most common ink, transitioning into day 2, but not going the distance. And I've just double checked the finals game. It was Brennan DeCandio who takes the first place trophy. So another big dub for Steel Amber Songs. But yeah, that's it from me. Please hit the like button. We've done really bad for likes on the last couple of videos, and it breaks my villainous little heart. So if you appreciate the channel and you appreciate the content, smash that like button for me. And if you're brand new, please subscribe for all things Lorcana, and we'll see you soon.